Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is safe and doing well. This is a look at the project we'll be working on for today. This sofa. Now the sofa is old. I pulled the skirting off the bottom off and it had some shorter legs, but I wanted to raise it up a little bit, so I added some 7-inch legs. These are 7-inch legs that I picked up from Amazon. Now, the sofa, the back of it, I really don't like how it's attached here on the back. It's attached, the pillow is attached. So I want to do something different with that. I want to make it easy to reupholster. Again, this will be a no-sew upholstery. So I have my fabric here. This is the fabric that I chose, and it is a microfiber fabric in a taupe. So this is what I want to use today. So rather than having 2 pieces on the back, I plan on just adding 1 piece of foam across the back. That's the first thing I want to do. So I'm going to cut this loose, or rip it, or cut it loose, take this off, and then measure the piece of foam to go across the back. So I'm ready to get started on this project. With my scissors, I'm going to cut the fabric away from the back of the sofa. Now, the cushion I will be discarding, but I'm going to keep the batting on top. So now I just want to cut away all the material and trim up everything. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So this is the foam, and I want to measure and cut it to fit the back of the couch. I measure the back, and then I transfer those markings to the foam. I then use my foam cutting knife to cut it to size. I stand my foam up. Because the foam is taller than the back, I make a mark to measure the height. I transfer that mark along the length of the foam and use my knife to cut it to size. Now I just need to check for fit. To keep the cost down, I removed the old batting from the old cushion and added it to the new. So I'm going to take my fabric. I'm going to figure out how to lay it over the back of the sofa and begin here. So I have it stretched across the back, and I'm making sure that I cut it long enough so that I have enough to go down and underneath the sofa. The sofa has 1 piece of wood going down the back. So what I want to do is fold it down enough, or cut the fabric long enough so that I'll have enough room to tuck it down underneath. And if you just watch, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm just folding the fabric back to make it easier to cut. And I want to make sure that my cut is kind of straight, so I'm just keeping those edges together as I cut. The fabric is cut and I'm repositioning my camera. So here's the phone. To make sure the phone is secure, I have my heavy duty fabric spray. I've shaken it and I want to use this to spray on the foam as well as to the back of the sofa to adhere it. Because the back slants backwards, I add a little bit of the batting to make sure that everything is leveled and smoothed out. Now I take my fabric and I pull it to the back. Now the back of the sofa is a wood piece, so I want to make this piece even with that wood back, and then I'll staple it into place. Then I move around to the front. Still working on the back of the sofa, I tilt my sofa backwards and staple into the wood. I raise the sofa and then begin to fold the fabric around the back side of the foam. If you hear that noise, it's storming outside. I'll silence as much as possible. And of course, the easiest way to get the cover off the pillows is to just cut it off. Because of the new back I added, the cushion is too long or too deep. So I'm making a mark and I'll transfer that mark all the way around and just reduce the cushion. It's about 5 inches. I'll then take 1/2 of the batting and cut it off because we won't need it. I'll save this for later. To make my cushion one piece, I pulled out my heavy duty fabric spray and I sprayed the 2 pieces and pulled them tightly together. Sorry for the lighting, the sun has gone down, it's storming outside. But what I've done is just taken my fabric and I threw it over the back of the couch, face down. I then pulled it to the bottom of the sofa and I'm going to staple it just where I stapled the back. When I have the fabric stapled and secure, I add the pillow cushions to the bottom. To make my seat cushion even more plush, I added the leftover batting from the back of the sofa to the bottom of the couch. And I'm just filling in the sides with cut pieces. Once I have all of this filled in, I'll pull the cover or pull the fabric over the pillow cushions. I make sure everything is long enough, leaving about 1 inch or 2 on the bottom, and then cut this down to size. Now I can work on pulling my fabric tight, smoothing everything down before I flip it over and start to staple underneath. I'll only add a few staples just to hold the fabric in place. To get the fabric around the corner of the seat cushion and also down the side of the sofa, I need to pull that excess fabric down and push it down between the bottom of the sofa. To do this, I have to use my scissors to cut the fabric back. Now, you don't want to make big cuts. You just want to do a little bit at a time so it'll fold around the arm of the chair. When I have the fabric stretched tight around the arm of the chair, I go all the way down to the bottom and I use my staple to staple it just like I did the back. I then crease and wrap the fabric around the side of the chair, and I'll staple the loose piece here to the side of the wood or to the side of the chair. Now, again, I'm playing with it and making sure that I have that fold exactly the way I want it before I do any stapling, because it will be hard to get them out because I can't really see what I'm doing. I'm just feeling at what I'm doing. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional upholsterer. I haven't had any professional training. This is just a craft that I picked up and it's a DIY. Because of the storm and the lighting, it's the next day and I have went ahead and cut around the legs and started to staple. I've stapled along the base of it into wood because I am going to do some kind of design. I don't know if I'm going to use the nail heads or the rope in this area. Before I staple the fabric underneath the bottom, I want to turn it around. I'm still looking for a way to pull the fabric tight along the side. So I'm going to take the back panel off the sofa. All right, so I got the backing off, and as I'm looking, the only thing that's wood is the base of this piece and going up the sides. Everything else is metal. So there's no way I could get to the wood any other way. So I'm going to do the inside of the arm just like I did on the other side. For this side, I'm going to have to get creative. I'm going to grab my fabric and I'm going to cut a piece in the angle of the sofa and I'm going to staple it. So I grab what's left of my fabric. I need to have a piece big enough to cover the back of the sofa. So I measured and made sure that I had enough. And then I cut my fabric into 3 parts. So with one of the pieces, I'm spreading it over the arm of the sofa. I'm making sure that I just have enough to staple under the wood. I'm also pulling it forward to make sure I have enough to cover the fold. I'm pushing it down in the arm of the chair as well so that I'll have enough to staple down. I'm also dealing with the front part. I need to make sure that it goes around the edge of the sofa, and I'm just trying to figure out how I can pin it and pull it and staple it so that everything is covered. So you see me using those push pins first to hold it in place, and I'm adjusting that fabric so it'll come down around the front side of the arm. So you guys know I'm not an upholsterer, so here I am trying to figure this thing out. So once I have the fabric aligned to the position that I want it to be, I curve everything around the round edge of the pillow cushion. I make sure that that's stapled where it can be stapled and pinned down. Then I'm going to take the side panel. I want to staple a couple staples in the contour of the chair. On the inside of the arm, I'm going to push the fabric down as far as I can get it, and I'm going to staple into the wood just like I did the back. When I know that I have enough fabric to staple down on the inside, I go right ahead and staple into the wood, pulling it to the bottom. Once I do that, I continue to add staples along the contour of the arm. And yes, this is the same day I just got hot in my sweater dress and had to change. Since I have the curved staple, now I want to staple along the back. I'm just pulling everything tight and stapling along the back. I'm doing everything into the wood. And if you can see the back side of the sofa, you can see that everything is metal underneath. And I wasn't about to try to take it loose, so I'm just trying to do it this way. I'm by no means a professional. I just try to get things done and make them look as neat as possible. I can now fold it and staple it under the bottom on the side. Now you can see it's starting to take shape. And while I have it on its side and it's easy to reach, I go ahead and start from the middle. I pull the fabric tight underneath the front side and I staple. Before pulling forward and stapling the side, I want to add this batting. This will make this area smooth. I reposition my fabric, and here you can see how I staple along the curved outside edge of the arm. Now I'm trying to figure out how to bring this piece of fabric forward and staple it down. I nip at the fabric and cut it until it's able to go around to the front of the sofa, covering up where the front portion ends. Now I don't make any staples just yet. I just make sure that the cut is right and that there's enough fabric. Now I'm ready to move on to taking the front panels off the sofa. Now this is the front panel. I just need to cut a piece of fabric down to size and I'll glue it into place. I know that it seems like I'm all over the place, but this fabric has no stretch. So I had to take my scissors and cut as close to the curved edge or the staples as I can get it, so that I could do my next step. This is the only way that I can make it fold over and have the shape that I need. Now you can see how I began to fold the curved edge around the front. And I'll just bring my camera closer so you can see what I'm doing. There's the fold edge. Here is where the two pieces of fabric meet, the front and the side. I have it rolled under and I'll pull it tight and I'll staple it around the arm. Now I will have to do a little hand sewing. If you watch my video when I did the ottoman, I did do a little hand sew, and this is what I'll do here. And now I'm just gonna pull the sides to the inside where I took out that panel. And there you have it. So these are the little panels that I took off the front. I cut my fabric down to size, leaving about a 1/2 inch on either side. I have my hot glue gun and I'll just glue it around the panel. The next thing I want to do is cover this corner. I have my fabric here, and so what I'm doing, just laying it out, figuring out how to make that cut. I have my fabric cut to I think what is the right size, and now I just want to push down under those curved edges around the arm. At the back, where I have the back of the sofa or the pad, I fold it down under the part where I did not staple. At the arm, I push down and I leave enough to roll under. And so I'm just playing with it to get the right fit. Once I'm able to gauge how much fabric I need to make the curve around the middle of the arm, I cut away the excess. I cut small amounts until I'm sure I have enough to fold under and around the back of the sofa. Once that's done, I pulled it all the way around to the back, and where that curved edge is, that's where I'll staple. I smooth the fabric into the contour and staple. I staple all the way up to the top of the sofa and cut away the excess material. I cut as close to the staples as possible. For the back side, I have this cardboard strip. I take my fabric, I lay it flat on the back of the sofa. I add my cardboard strip, stapling it into the wood. When I'm done, I turn my fabric down. This gives me a straight edge. This strip came out the panel from the back of the old fabric. I push it through, the tacks through, roll it and turn it, and then tack it down. I do the same thing on the other side. On this side, I did add a second row of staples closer to the inside. I removed the outer staples once everything was tacked down. When it's tacked down, I take my scissors and I cut a curve around the leg. This makes it easy to staple. Once I have that, I pull from the top tightly and staple everything down. Once I have it down, I cut off the excess material. Now we're looking at the part where I told you we might have to do a little sewing. On the side here, I take a needle with matching thread and I just do that slip stitch going all the way up. We're heading for the finish line. I took my rope trim that I showed you in the beginning. I was going to create a design, but I decided to go ahead and add it to right where the staples are on the wood. I do have it going down, but I'm going to take those staples out. I'll be adding the rope just under the wood all the way down, even across. And I want to say that's about 5 inches up. Using my hot glue gun on a medium heat. I added the panels to the front of the arms, and I'm just taking my hot glue and I'm going along that side where everything was sewed. I'm going to finish adding my rope trim and then we'll come back for the reveal. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at what it looked like before. And here is my Loveseat complete. I think my Loveseat turned out absolutely beautiful. I love how comfortable it is. The extra thick batting gave me just the comfort I need when I'm sitting for my hip. It also allows me to stretch out. Off camera, I took that rope and decided to go all the way up and under the chair arm so that I can cover up the staples. Now this project I started on Sunday before Memorial Day, and this is Friday, and I'm just finishing the project. All because Memorial Day, I spent my day in the hospital with my husband. He's still there, so I'm working on it in the mornings before I go to the hospital and in the evenings when I come home from the hospitals. So this sofa has been quite useful for the last week. I come home and lay down and it's so very comfortable. And with that, I do hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If so, make sure you subscribe and don't forget the notification bell so you'll know when I upload new tutorials. Make sure you keep tuning in because I'm in the process, or my husband is, of building me a second closet in my bedroom. Of course, it has to wait a little bit until he recovers, but it is turning out absolutely beautiful. So keep watching. I'll also make sure I leave a link to where I got the fabric from, as well as the link to the tutorial for this bench. Now the bench I did a couple weeks ago to have something to put my feet up on, and I tried to tie everything in together. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day. God bless. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.